realizations from his own efforts in distributional profits. I have to give myself as an example, a notorious example. Some background information. When I say Om Again this is very meaningful for me because somehow or other my karmic activity took me to what is rated by the Hindustan Times. Every year the Hindustan Times rates the undergraduate schools in the world so that all the Indian readership can decide where to aim their children. So Yale is usually number 1 or number 2. This year's number 1. So when you attend such a university, you are treated as if you have attained such a loka. You have full mystic powers. The whole world is waiting for you. My first year there, I had already decided that I had to find the topmost knowledge that would benefit the world. So I told my academic guides that I didn't want to focus on any particular subject in the traditional way. I wanted to just study whatever I wanted because I wanted to find the topmost knowledge that would actually help the world. So they said, okay, actually the university is meant for persons like you. What we're going to do, we're going to drop all our distribution requirements. The traditional approach is you have to study 1 science course, 1 mathematics course, 1 English literature course, 1 foreign language, so on and so forth. Then you have some electives you can freestyle, but you have to stick with the core curriculum. They said, for you, we throw out the core curriculum. You study whatever you like. At the end of 4 years, we'll call it a major, whatever. We'll stick some name on it. And they said, we wish that when we were students, we were as courageous as you, because this is what the university's meant. So for 4 years, I studied under the best. And after 4 years, upon graduation, I realized that the world's storehouse of knowledge was very empty. I'd have to say that just to appreciate the depths of ignorance, I did get a Back to Godhead magazine around 1969. I was going through the East Village in New York near the 2nd Avenue Temple, and a chanting party went by, and someone stuck a BTG in my hand and a stick of incense and said, give a quarter, 25 cents. So I took it to wherever I was going. I leafed through it. Love of God, very interesting. That was it, though. I put the magazine in a favorite spot in my room, but somehow it disappeared. Then, 1 month before I graduated, I want to show you the transformative power of Prabhupada. 1 month before I graduated, and I had to beg His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj for forgiveness for my offensive attitude back then, 1972. My roommate and I were preparing for our finals. He was doing his final exam in physics, and I was writing a thesis. So we wanted relief. We turned on the television, and because we were Yale students, we would not watch television in the ordinary way. We had to distinguish ourselves from the masses. So we would watch television with the volume turned down, and we speculate on what was happening. In this way, we showed our supreme pedigree. So all of a sudden, on the television screen, this is May 72, April 72, we saw these strange-looking persons. Shaved heads, ladies wearing funny clothes. And they were talking. So I remember, I turned to my roommate and said, can't figure out what these people are talking about. Let's turn up the volume. They look like they're from another planet. So, we listened to their presentation. Devamrita was there, and a brahmachari, other devotees. So we listened, and we heard them explain about their lifestyle, the rules they follow. Constantly we heard the word bliss. When I heard the rules, I turned to my roommate, just to give you an idea of the depths of ignorance possible. I turned to my roommate and said, "These people are fools. They have missed the goal of life. They talk about bliss. Well, we'll invite them to one of our parties. We'll show them what bliss is." Now, I graduated a month later, and at that point, I didn't have any faith that there was no material knowledge that could help the world. I knew it by studies. I had already poured through everything. So I figured, I've got to find something beyond mundane knowledge. I began to dabble in Western astrology. I went to the topmost astrologer in New York City, and I wanted to know what my destiny was going to be. So he looked over my chart, he looked at me and said, "You're going to dedicate your life to studying the soul." I said, "Oh no! Can you recalculate, please? There must be a mistake." I said, "What about money? What about fame?" So, I was walking out of a subway station in Jersey City, New Jersey, visiting a significant other. And there was a Sankirtan devotee, a brahmachari. And I thought, this person looks kind of interesting. I forgot this is the same type I've seen on television. Sorry. I walked up and said, "Hey, what you got there?" He said, "Oh, I've got some books." I said, "Okay. What's it all about?" He handed me a small booklet called The Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. He said, "Oh yeah, give a donation, it's yours." I said, "Well." I looked over, and in typical male chauvinist way, I saw my significant other coming. I said, "Hey, can you pay him?" I had money, but you know. This is New York. She paid him, thinking, "Oh, he's always doing such wonderful, exciting things." I don't think she realized this is the beginning of the end. She was in the class behind me in Yale, and she had imagined naturally a big future. So she gave him some money. So then I went over to her abode, and while she was in the kitchen, I sat down on the couch in the living room and started reading this Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad. And by the time I got to page 2, I had collapsed on the couch. I was reading Srila Prabhupada's rendition of Prahlad Maharaj's instructions that the taste of sense gratification is the same no matter what body you take. Why waste your human form of life tasting the same thing that the dog is tasting? I slumped over on the couch. The young lady came running out from the kitchen. "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" I just stood back up. Nothing. Everything's fine. So I resolved to myself, that moment, I'm going to Greenwich Village, where there are many old Turner bookshops. I'm going to find more books by this Swami whose name I can't pronounce. So I did that. I went to Greenwich Village. There's no way I was going to approach a devotee, strange alien species. I got a Bhagavad Gita, the blue Macmillan edition, and some other small books, an abridged version of Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. I took those books home, and I read and I read. I ordered more books from BBT mail order because, again, I wanted nothing to do with devotees, a strange person. I read the books that I got from BBT mail order 4 hours a day for 6 months straight before I showed up at a temple. 4 hours a day for 6 months straight. How did I finally show up at a temple? I got a letter from the BBT mail order saying that the Srimad Bhagavatam was about to appear. Because previously, at that time, they were just the volumes were Prabhupada brought over from India. But now the deluxe edition of the first canon was about to come. And the brochure I got in the mail described the Srimad Bhagavatam as the spiritual encyclopedia with knowledge of the material and spiritual world. Oh, I've got to have this. I've read all my books twice, 4 hours a day for 6 months. I've got to have this Srimad Bhagavatam. There's only one way to get it immediately. I can't wait for it to come to the mail. I've got to approach a devotee. I'll take the chance. So I went to a bus terminal in New York where I knew devotees would be distributing their wares. And I walked up to a devotee and I asked what I thought was a routine question. I walked up and I said, "Do you have Srimad Bhagavatam?" The devotee was cool. God sister, Devi Shakti Mataji. She just blinked her eyes real quickly, and then, "Oh, how do you know about that?" I said, "Don't worry about it. I just want the book." No, tell me. How do you know about Srimad Bhagavatam? Look, girl. I'm not here to answer questions. Do you have the book or do you not? But she was very expert. She kept me wrapped up for about 20 minutes. And long story, to make short of it, she didn't have the book, and a half hour later I was minus $4,000. Because she had convinced me that since I had read these books, I should know that they are offering humanity the highest benefit, and I should assist in this great cause. So anyway, after that I figured I had donated so much money, I might as well go to the temple and see what's going on there. So I'm telling you this as a personal example of the impact of Srila Prabhupada's books, how they can change lives. I had no Hindu background. I had no desire to associate with devotees. I made a strict policy, even while reading Prabhupada's books, not to have anything to do with devotees. Because I thought they're just dreamers. They're not doing anything to help the world. Not that I was doing something, but what were they doing for social transformation? What were they doing with ridding the world of colonialism, imperialism, and so forth? Nothing. I said they're probably just ex-hippies. But by reading Prabhupada's books, my sinful heart had become purified, and I could actually see that here was a program to spiritualize the whole world. Let's talk about now the mass impact of Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada, during the infamous communist days, the Iron Curtain, Srila Prabhupada stated that if his books are distributed behind the Iron Curtain, communism is finished. Upon Srila Prabhupada's departure, I left the BBT, seeking his mercy another way. And I went to Communist Europe. And things were so bad. If we could smuggle into a country 5 Upanishads, we would rejoice. We wrap these Upanishads in aluminum foil and stick them somewhere in the car engine. We were so happy. We'd get back to Western Europe and just tell all devotees, 5 Upanishads, enter this country or that country. The situation was bleak. The situation was a mission impossible. Sometimes, for example, it was thought that the Western nations were just making propaganda about how bad things were in the communist bloc. I know from personal experience, the Western propaganda didn't depict how bad it actually was. So, it seemed impossible how to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's desire to have his books distributed in such a situation. Yet, year after year, devotees tried. And what happened, just by persistence, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda make miracles. It's not well known. I think I didn't realize I rarely told this, but Govardhan Prabhu, he suggested I speak about it. So I will. In 1982, the first devotees from the communist bloc came to Mayapur, paid for by the KGB. Books were printed in 1982 in Warsaw, Poland, for a university campus distribution, printed by the KGB. Why? They had some shrewdies amongst the stodgy, conservative types. They had some young shrewdies who looked at the situation in Poland and said, we've got a Catholic country here, we've got a Catholic Pope, and then we've got these budding Hare Krishna groups. These Hare Krishna groups, they don't make politics. The whole country is making politics. Poland was always very unsubmissive in terms of their loyalty to Moscow. You guys don't make politics. The KGB had called in some of our leaders and told them, we've been watching. We know what you're doing. You don't make politics, and you're taking potential recruits away from the Catholic Church. Let's make a deal. We'll smash you externally in public, but under the table, we're going to back you. What do you want? You guys like India? We'll fund you to go to India via a student group at the university. Make a student group. We're paying for it, but it'll be the student group that sends your people to India. So they paid for 10 persons to go to Mayapur in 1982. You want some books printed? We don't worry about your copyrights. We are the people's representatives in the workers' paradise. We'll print your books. So they printed extracts from Science Self-Realization for devotees to distribute on campus. No doubt, they had a scant understanding of the impact of what they were doing. Then, right before the fall of the Iron Curtain, somehow or other, a rainstorm descended. I remember sitting before Gordon hidden away on a secret farm in the mountains of Poland, and some idea came to me. I certainly can't say it's mine. And I told our leaders, let's try this. This could work. It's a very complicated, intricate plan how to smuggle books straight from the printer in Germany behind the Iron Curtain, 10,000 at a time. Amazingly, to make a long story short, the idea worked. 10,000 books at a time, 10,000 hardcover Bhagavad Gitas, 10,000 Krishna books, 10,000 nectar devotions. The devotees were so happy. I had never seen such happiness in my life. They couldn't believe. In the freezing cold, they would go out on book distribution. They were so happy. They were crying, and the tears would freeze to their cheeks. We all know that the Iron Curtain fell. And the fall was so unpredicted that even the CIA admits they were caught off guard. How things unraveled so quickly. Even the CIA, whose job it is to figure out these things and predict these things, they didn't know. I'm convinced that Srila Prabhupada's words proved correct. My books are distributed behind the Iron Curtain. He said the communists are finished. And that same potency is still there in Prabhupada's books. In conclusion, you might say, well, we have so many books. What's so special about Prabhupada's books? It is my realization that concerning Srila Prabhupada's books, you have the direct cooperation of 100% of the super soul. The English language is not flashy. Prabhupada has a limited vocabulary set. But somehow or other, because of his purity, the super soul in the heart, who is responsible for all knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness, cooperates fully and penetrates the heart of the conditioned soul. And therefore, such an extraordinary reaction happens. Materially, you can't figure it out. You've seen better written books in terms of mundane literary style. But what is so special about Prabhupada's books? That pure bhakti is what makes them in a class by themselves. And so, I think that we consider both on the individual level and on the global level, we can agree we have the most potent device for producing the greatest transformation. Whether the person receives the book casually, looks nice, no thanks, or the person sits down and reads the book, or in terms of large-scale social change, we have the best means for giving the highest benefit to everyone.